Today I'm going to present an artwork using autumn leaves. The leaves have fallen off the trees and they were in the rain as I was walking, and I decided what a great idea to do an artwork using the leaves. They'll need to be right side down because the veins on here are way too thick, and so if I use this particular leaf I'd take the whole page with one leaf. So I've got some smaller leaves, so I'll see if I can work out how to get those on the paper. And I'll also be using Winsor & Newton watercolour sticks. They do have the names on the sticks, and so it's really great to actually start where the name Winsor & Newton, when you turn them over they've got the name, which is, this is quinacridone and magenta, and rip the paper off them at the other end so that you've always got the name of the colour. Otherwise you end up with a lot of colours that you've got no idea what they are. So I'm going to start out by using a Hake brush and wet the paper. And so I'll wet the paper evenly all the way down. Watercolour sticks work when the paper is wet. They can probably have water dropped into them after you've used them, or you can use them in a different way to what I am doing. And this would be classed as a modern artwork because they didn't have watercolour sticks many years ago. They might have had some sort of sticks, but I don't know about that. Okay, so I've wet the paper, and this is my leaves, and I've got from a smaller size to a larger size, and so I'll find the smallest one first, oops, and drop it onto the page, smooth side down. So that'll just come down through here, and that sticks to the page. I should sort them out really first. Next size up. That one's smaller. Okay, it can come into there. So that goes down. I'm leaving a little bit of space for branches. That one can come into about there, a little bit more space between those. This is the next bigger one. I'll let that overlap. Get the direction that the leaf's going out that way. And then the larger leaf at the top. I guess it should be coming into the design and moving down round. So that's coming in around in an S shape. Okay, so now I can start with the watercolour sticks, and these will stay on the paper until it's dry. I could get a plastic sheet and just make sure that they're actually down by just rubbing over them. I'm sure there's nothing going to touch the paper behind them anyway, but just to be sure that they're completely stuck down. Watercolour sticks now, and I'll start out with you can put light and dark colours. I do like the this one's Australian turquoise, so I do like turquoise on there. Bring that through, so I'll do turquoise up there, down through here, out that side, and back down through here. So that's just going onto the paper. If the paper dries too much, I can give it a little bit of a spritz with some spray. Okay, and now I've got, what colour? Quinacridone magenta, a deep red. Now some of the turquoise will go in with that, so it'll look a little bit like a party to start with. I can go at the top. Now what I was saying is you can start out with light colours, but really these will go over the top, so you're better off, you can go back with light colours later and put them on after, and they still will show. Okay, so that's the pink. I've got a, what's this one? They're not easy to read, permanent magenta. This will be a darker colour. Yeah. Where am I going with that? Probably in little places that I'll get some darks. You can go out of the edge of the paper. Don't have to stay within the paper. Okay, I'm going to some browns. This one is Indian red. Red, not brown, but sort of brown. Right behind the leaves. Make sure it focuses behind the leaves. Otherwise I've got no leaf. If I don't get it behind here. Wow. Interesting colours. I'll come out of the paper down here. Down on the third. I'd choose the third if I was coming out of the paper. Now I have some, if I can see the name, raw sienna, which is lighter. Don't want that straight line, so I'll come out of the paper there with the raw sienna. Now it's getting a little bit too dry. I'll just pick up a spray bottle and give it a spray. That'll make the paint melt and react. So now you're seeing other colours forming. That's probably enough for the time being. Back to raw sienna. The complex colours are where it'll become really interesting. Even the leaves have got the colours on them. They're quite pretty. Pity they can't stay. Okay, so now I've got white. White will come in and tame some of those colours down. Where I've got heavy colours, I'm putting some white in. Don't want to take them out too much. A bit lacking at the top here. Put some other colours up there. I do have some other browns. This one I haven't used. Darken out the corner. A lot going on down here. I'll put some light in that. Raw sienna. I think that'll about do it. Okay, now, before it dries, and you also can actually move it. You could actually do that and you'll get a waterfall effect, but you may get too much underneath your actual leaves. So now I've just got the brush and I'm just going to work my way around and just take out the edges of this. Sorry about my stomach. Must be my breakfast. Okay, so that just brings colour out. Right out to the edge of the page. So now it's not as blank out in the edges. I'll just wet that a little bit. It's getting dry. If it gets dry, it starts to drag. Too dry. You can see that motivates the colours to actually come up stronger as well. Don't mind that where it's done a bit of a run, so I'll tell some of them to run. Out in this edge looks good. It's a bit better than just the brushing. It's interesting here where they've started to run out. Just get that edge. Still dry. Just that bit there. Okay, so some of that can run round a little bit, but not much. I guess running out's the best way. All right, now I'm going to let that dry. I've actually allowed this to get semi-dry. It's not completely dry, and I thought it'd be really marvellous if I could get these leaves to print on another sheet of paper. What have I got to lose? Just another sheet of paper. But I'll see how it goes. So I'm going to wet the paper first. I may not get a full print, but I may get some print. And then I'll leave the leaves on here, and then I can actually paint or draw around them when they're dry before I take them off, if I don't get much of a print. So the paper's wet. I'll wet it again. Smooth paper sucks water up really fast because of the rag content. Wet it again. Now I'll see if I can lift these leaves and get them onto this. I'll start with the largest leaf. I don't think I can rescue his point to his leaf, but I'll try. So that'll go on first. That can go out to there. Now I'll need to push that down a bit harder in a minute. That one there, oh, it's got some pretty shapes on the paper. That one can go down underneath the big one, so it looks like it's connected to the artwork. Next one, I might run out before I get down to the next one. That turns over and goes down there. Whoops. My smallest one might be all I can take, although this one's pretty. This one's got some nice colours on it. So I'm coming down this way, so I'll turn it that way. Maybe then I can get the other little one in beside it. A little bit complex, but that's all right. We could deal with that. And that finishes off down the bottom. I have to go out of the picture, but yeah, it doesn't have much colour on out of the picture anyway, so I will put it there. Not parallel, can turn and come out. All right, now I'm going to get that plastic sheet that I had and push that down, and I'll put some water on them actually, because they then could be a little bit softer if I wet them. Because they've dried, this one's good because it's really flat. And so I'll press those down with the plastic sheet. I don't have another sheet, but I have another sheet of watercolour paper with not much on it. There's another sheet there. That'll probably just about do that leaf. Now I'll weight that down with a pad of paper. This is just about finished, this pad. What's in there? There's only a couple of sheets. That will damage that paper if I leave that, so I'm going to find something else. Maybe a plastic board. I'll put that on there, weight it down with something, and then put it down somewhere to dry. We'll see that later. All right, so it comes off the desk. And we'll sit down. That's not a flat surface. It'll have to be on a flat surface or it'll bend the board. Okay, so now we're back to here, and that's the image that I've got with some lovely prints on here, some fabulous bits and pieces. So now I'll draw that up and then get ready to paint. Pity I haven't got my leaves to look at, but that doesn't matter. So in drawing that up, I'll just be drawing down through here. I think the veins come right up to that top section. Now, where there's actually dribbles and runs, I'm not going to touch it because that will be the interesting part. A little bit down here. So I'll start to draw that up. Now this will have to dry completely. It's not completely dry yet before I can start to paint on it. This one's a bit messy. I know that comes down there, that goes out there, one there. That must have come down there and that one will go out, and I haven't got the other edge to the leaf there, so I can make that edge. Draw a little bit dark there. Down through here. If you arch that way, I'll leave that. That's interesting, that's interesting. All right, now I'll leave this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. That one can have 4, simply because I'm not going to paint the whole thing. And when this is completely dry, I'll come back and paint up the leaves. If there's no image edge, like I can't see the edge to something, I can make it up as well. So that's sort of run in underneath that one. So if I make that come back in there, that'll sort of just make your eye will do that for you, that you'll see it that way. Okay, so I'll put that aside to dry. The second sheet will dry, and then we'll come back and see what we've got. Previously, I'd actually done the vein markings on the leaves and describing the fact that I'll paint the leaves up first and then bring some background in around. Remembering that all this paint will re-wet as well because it's watercolour paint, but of course it can re-wet very easily. So I'm going to keep to a light side of the leaf, and I have a raw sienna, just a light wash of raw sienna, but I'm wetting the leaf at the same time. So that goes out to the edge, and I'm just putting raw sienna on the leaf. I can do different colours. That'll go out to the edge. The edge may re-wet and decide to come with me. I'll go over this area very quickly because I don't want that to move. And if I keep it wet, it will. And over this side, I've got a dirty colour actually. Might be good. I'll just leave it. It's raw sienna in a little bit of French ultramarine. So it's just a dirty grey, which could be nice. A lot of the time, people are not using greys. That'll go into the other colour and just run itself around. And so now I have a lighter side and a darker side. Decide where that goes. I'll leave that pink section on it so I can decide what I've got and what I haven't got. So that just runs around the leaf and it's just got a light colour. Now if I paint it dark, I lose it because it goes into the artwork. Burnt sienna. I'll just get a dark burnt sienna. It's more of a grey colour. It's quite dark. Oh, I think I'll need a cleaner colour, so I'll clean burnt sienna up. Just get a cleaner burnt sienna. So that's still dirty, so I'll go to another one. This is just the straight burnt sienna. That's better. No, it's too much like the background colour, so I'm going to have to go to a dirty colour. And just drop that in and let that go into the artwork around in the vein area. And what that'll do is set that leaf down into that area, and I'm just sort of bringing the colour in down through there just at random to let it move into the water. Just let that out, and then with a rigger, a liner brush, I'm going to use that dirty brown to put the veins on this leaf. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5. 5 veins on it. They're still running. So now I'll dry the brush off a little bit and I'll use these parts of it to actually bring some veins in on that leaf. I can move that round and change that so it's not too obvious. Need some more paint, so I'll pick it up off the artwork. Come over to the light side. Now they'll all be very light because this is still drying. And because it's drying, it will dry lighter. Okay, I'll just pick up some of the colour around the edge of this dark here. Just let it go up a little bit in the intersections like there. Just change that edge slightly so it's got a dip in the actual leaf. Some of the leaves I can make a little bit darker, but I do like the colour because it's very, very subtle and it needs to be. Okay, so I'm going back for the raw sienna on the lighter side of the next leaf. After I've actually finished the leaves, I'll be then coming back to put the darks in behind the leaf. I won't wet that too long. Be quick with this. And then the French ultramarine over this on the blue side, on the shading side. I'll make that a little bit stronger on this one, but I won't last long enough to take out that lovely pattern on the leaf. That can come down, so it's not just one colour. Need to get right up to those edges. Doesn't look so good if you don't sort of get the whole leaf and leave edges. Okay, so again the French ultramarine and burnt sienna for the darks inside the leaf in here. Just leave it as lines. That's dry. As soon as I see that, I know that I need to change that and put water on it. It's dried too quickly. Oh, I just touched something that would have been nice. Again, dirty colour. Let that drop in. Turn it slightly just to get my wrist. My wrist is the thing that gives me the right direction in things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5. If it dries too quickly, I'll come back and wet it. I don't do all of these the same either. I might do that side. Again, that side dried so quickly, so I'll wet it again. Because I just wet that, I'll go over here. Boy, it's all drying fast. Don't need much over there because I've got all the rest of the bits and pieces on there. That's really nice. Some of these will be dry and they'll be stronger than the others. So in that light area there, they'll be stronger. That's dark. Just dry it off on the tissue. But also I can come back, because I do like that, and come back here and get that stronger just in the depth of the leaf. Same with this one. If I come in now, I'll get that to be stronger, and that will make the leaf look like it's got more of a dip in it. This leaf's underneath, so that's where it will be darker underneath. So I'll start with the darks on that one. A bit of raw sienna on the brush to start with. That's what I started out with until it just went into a silver grey. And I've got more colour on here. No, I haven't. This one now is quite blue. Water. Very blue. I'll leave it for now. You can always change it. Come over that paint. Make sure you leave it. Don't mind the dark patch in it. If you want to change over easily, two colours don't sort of mix so much, but if I put the burnt sienna on now, the raw sienna on now, it could change into green, but I don't care if it does. But I've just put it there first and then bring it into that. And so then I'll bring it in roughly so that it's not a harsh line on the leaf. You can see how fast this paper dries, being smooth paper. And that's why I'm using a sable brush, an Escoda Sable, because of the fact I'm on smooth paper. That's done a nice watermark in that blue, which is good. You can use cauliflowers and things on these leaves if you want to. If I picked up a brown now, just about where, not where there's a vein, maybe there, and just drop that in. That'll do something to the leaf. So instead of just painting madly, you can actually do some work on there as well. The darks come in now behind the back part of the leaf, which is in here. Not dry. I'll leave that. I'm not going to muck that up. What I will do is just let these edges move around. It's already dry here. I can see it straight away. It's completely dry. Let that do its own thing. And now the veins. Ooh, that one's thick. That one's better. If I arch them over, it does a different shape to the leaf. I won't try too hard for that one, just out through there. And you're getting a very, very soft look to your leaf because they're so wet. They go over. Don't have to do every vein either. I'm getting carried away. I'll leave that and let it go underneath there without that much information. If you found they were too wide and you didn't like them, if you used a dry brush, you can come back here and you can get more dimension in your leaf by drying the brush, coming back here and taking a highlight out of those in the water. That will change your leaf as well. So just on this light side, I'll just take a couple of lights out. Even if it's such a light colour, I can push that back over, make it go further over. Put some veins on it. Okay, so moving on. The leaves are doing their own thing. Up to the next leaf. Do I need to change some colours? I might just put a little bit of burnt sienna on one of these. I'll change the colour and put, and that'll make you look here if I change colours. So I'm going to put burnt sienna on this one. Doesn't want to get wet. Move my water. Just turn it round so it's more in my vision. I do turn my work a lot. Okay, so I've got burnt sienna. Stay away from that leaf. Just a bit there. So that's burnt sienna. Drop a bit more in. That's the centre of that leaf. And over this other side, I'll do burnt sienna and French ultramarine in a blue-grey. So I've put those colours together. A lot of water on my brush because I don't know what colour it is. If I put a lot of water on my brush, it's a bit of an insurance policy about what colour I'm putting on, because if I don't like it, I could just get a tissue and lift it straight off. But I do like those colours on the leaf. Quickly go over those. And it's not leaving marks on the paper. With smooth paper, it could leave marks, but it's not because my brush is so wet. That'll come down into there. I think I need some more burnt sienna. I've got a lot of burnt sienna now. I don't need it to stay that colour, but I'll just put it on and then move it round. I'll move the grey over. I've tilted it. Turn it round and see what I did. Oh, I like that. So I'll let it do its own thing. Bring the blue down. The blue's at the top here. I'll let it come over. So it really won't run anywhere that's not wet. If it's wet, it'll run there. If it's not, it'll stay where I've put it. Just lighten that off and get the point to the leaf. Like that. Okay, so again, you can't see the edge to it there, but that's the light edge. So I'm going to leave that. And then get the dark in around in the centre of the leaf, and I'll make it more burnt sienna as well. This one here now is more burnt sienna. Don't do too much there to take out those lovely colours that I've got. I'll leave that edge around it. It looks like a part that's split in the leaf. And then the veins. No, went off. That's not the swing of my wrist that way, so I'll just shift it over. That one's already there. That one goes down onto dry paper, so it's going to be stronger. And then I'll start with the veins. Okay, the veins over here will be softer because it's wetter. Now they'll get stronger. Not too many. Those I've just done a few. Just a couple of veins in that one. Okay, these look green now. Instead of raw sienna, they're looking more green. But they're quite natural. I don't think I like that, so I'll just wet it. Didn't realise it had so much burnt sienna on it, but it has. So if you've got anywhere the veins are too strong, just take the odd one out and disturb the paint. Do something with it. Okay, so I've got the largest leaf. What do I like and what don't I like? I don't think that's got enough dark in the middle of it, so I'll just make that darker. Just drop some colour into it. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the next leaf. Raw sienna, going back to raw sienna. Got a little bit of a leaf part there that I'm going to come in closer on that one when I do it. Don't quite know what's here, I'll just find something. That's the centre. Just get some paint on. I'm going to put a little bit of magenta. What colours have I got? Looking for something in a pink. I guess it's pretty lolly pink. I could use bright rose. Just got a bit of bright rose just to stick in the raw sienna there, just to give it a blush of colour before I go into the French ultramarine. This is French ultramarine now coming in, and they'll join together. If you ever want blue to be separate and not turn into green, you can put some pink between them. That'll go a little bit green, but that doesn't matter. So now it's covered. Okay, gone up to the tape and sat there. If I do that, it'll make it go off the tape. Darks in behind it. Get some strong darks on this one. It's a big leaf. If I get the darks to have some shape as well. I won't wash the brush, I just dried it. No, I have to wash it because that is too dry there. Oh, let it do its own thing. It's interesting. Paint that's just applied and hits the paper is much nicer than if you've played in it for ages. That'll have a vein, another one, another one. Okay, so that's the major veins on it. These are nice and dark, but it is very wet. There must have been another one there. Okay, these are a bit hectic down here. They'll be soft over that side and disappear out into the artwork. That one is a little bit dark, so I'll just get my brush and brush over that one. Maybe that one. I like the pink on that leaf. It sort of suits the rest of the artwork. Okay, so now it's time to work out what I'm going to do for branches, and I just started there earlier just to sort of get an idea of where I was heading. And so a leaf doesn't come straight off the long branch, it comes down past it and then the leaf goes on. So this leaf here is headed up that way, so if I do that, that's where his stem's going to go. Do it and touch it with a tissue and that lightens up. So now this branch here can come through here. Do I go past the end of the leaf or underneath the leaf. If I go underneath the leaf, I get a little bit more depth in the artwork. If I don't, then I stay on top, which doesn't give you depth. So what I'm going to do is come up here a little bit further. Shift that one over there. Get the branch to come through here. Might take a couple of times to lift this, but it's water. It only needs water to do it. Okay, now that leaf can either sit on there or it could have had a branch coming off somewhere. A branch coming off there. And then that one attached to that branch. So now I've made it attached to a secondary branch that's coming down through there, and I can add things to the artwork to actually encourage the direction of everything that I want it to go to. I want it to come down here. It hits a leaf, so that's good. And then I'll make it come over. I'll make it come over about there, behind that leaf. Now I can clean these out clearer later. Then it's going to change direction and come down here. Make it come back. And so I'm making a pathway through here. This leaf can go onto that one straight away. What's this one going to do? Could actually come over to here. Could actually go backwards. Branches don't always have to come forward. They can go backwards. A branch could virtually swing up that way. Now, if I brought a branch off, a stem off that, I could put another leaf around here. And so I'll get a darker pencil, because otherwise nobody will see it. And so in behind here could be another leaf, and they come up around. You're not going to see this, but anyway, I'll know where it is. Comes up around, comes down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so to find that leaf, I probably would need, and I don't know whether I can get my hands on one straight away. I'll have a look later for a white aquarelle. And that white aquarelle will draw on the darkest surface, and then it'll rub out when I actually paint up the leaf. But I'll start out just to sort of see where that leaf is, bring it back in and up and down and around, and just sort of show you sort of where that leaf is. Comes back in here, comes back out there. And so even if I did that much of a leaf, that's enough. I'll bring it back there. That's enough to show part of a leaf that's in behind there. So you don't have to do the whole leaf. I think that one come down to about there probably. And so, but I'll find that as I paint. All right, it's time to actually get some background in. They're still wet up there. This one's a bit damp. I think I need a drying time to allow that to dry off. Previously, I've dried the artwork. Coming back to the artwork, I've actually played with some colours to see what colour that I want to actually put through the artwork. So I've decided on burnt sienna. If I want it a little darker, I can add a little bit of indethrine to it. My brush has been sitting and it's as hard as anything because it has gum arabic. And so when I leave it, I roll it onto something and the brush stays beautifully in its point as it's a sable brush. It only takes a couple of seconds for that to come out of the brush and start to paint. Now, I've actually drawn a couple of other leaves in, and so these will be the primary leaves, there will be secondary leaves, and there will be third leaves. And so what that does is elevate the artwork and give it dimension to it, so it has a background in it as well. So I've got a leaf down through here, that I'll actually zoom in a little bit if I can. Move it up a bit so you can see the start of that leaf. If I move it over a fraction, we've got it. Okay, so if I come in underneath that, I'm using that colour to go up through the design line. And so then I'll use a lighter colour over this side and a darker colour over that side to actually get the lights and darks. So this was the burnt sienna and ultramarine. And I have fresh paint, so that gives me a lot of paint to get on the brush. So that goes in behind. It's a little bit too blue. I'll check the colour as I go and just get that in behind there. That leaf will go over that way a little bit to form where it will go to actually make the point of the leaf. And I'll just get it darker in the, got a hair on the brush, get it darker into that intersection. Now over this side, what do I need? I don't need the rest of this. I could actually get just a little bit coming down there, and that will shape that leaf up. Don't have to do the whole leaf. You don't, your eye can do that for you. And then this leaf here will be the opposite. It'll be the colour that I started with, and it was the blue that I had on the leaves over this side. And so I'll start to get the light blue on this leaf. And so now you'll see the leaf. Just try and miss the pencil so that I can rub it out later. And now you'll see that leaf differently. You'll see part of it. Dry the brush to get this colour off and just make it at random. Don't make it just with a straight line across the leaf. It's got a little white spot there. I'd leave that. So now you're seeing another shape to a leaf. So what I'm going to do is use the raw sienna that I used on the light side just to get a little bit of something in the middle of it. Not much at all. That'll go into the blue. That could change to green, but they're the colours, and I've left it completely empty here. So what I'll do is just damp that, because then I can put the veins on while it's wet. And so I'm starting to get other veins in to this area. It's dry up there, so this will be dark. But then the others will come out from there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so if they're too dark later, I'll just run the brush over them. Just a couple of the veins, not all of them, just a couple. That can go out further. And that just sets up for that leaf to appear that wasn't in there. It's a little bit wide, but that's okay. So a lot of the time I see people putting other leaves in here, and they're tiny, tiny leaves. They don't have to be. They can be big leaves as well. So over this side, I've actually left an area here for another leaf to go in, and that's on my light side. So I'm going to use raw sienna. And so the raw sienna can come in behind here and just get a little bit of a wash of raw sienna on the paper. So what it's doing is taking the light out of the paper and leaving the leaf. And so there's another part to the leaf in here, and that'll come out, and that can cover that whole area just to show up where that leaf is. That's where it started. You can't see the leaf over the other side, but I can actually either paint it or come behind it. I think I'll paint on it just to be different. This is left. And if I paint on the other side there, what colour will I? I'll do the raw sienna and change it onto the leaf, but I'll also put a little bit of burnt sienna in it as well. So now you'll see that edge to the leaf over there. So now you've got the opposite again. Everything's opposites. So I should rub out the centre line on that before I put anything on it. That one's underneath. If it's underneath the paint, it will actually stay to a certain extent. If it's very thin wash, sometimes it comes out, but it can stay. So I'll wet that first because I want these veins to be very, very soft. And so I'll just wet that area. This one's wet. And so I don't know exactly where it's coming from. That's too light. Ow, that's too dark. Picked up way too much paint. A little bit of water to soften it. So I'll put it on that just in case it stays. Whereas this one, 1, 2, it'll come out about there. It's blue. Change the direction that that's going. Oops, went over the edge there, so I'll just take that out. It's got a bit of rubber there as well. Just wet that and take it out. If I wet it, I've got to wet the whole area. Just leave the rubber. If I want that to be a little bit darker, I can come back and make it darker by putting a little bit more burnt sienna in it, or a little bit of the grey, just to show that up a little bit stronger, closer to the actual leaf. And so now I've got a part of another leaf turning up. And so now I'll go back up through to what I was doing. I did part of that simply because I was working out colours and working out what I want to actually put in the artwork. And so also the rubbing out of the stems through here, that was being rubbed out. Trouble is doing it like this, you get pretty much a straight line, whereas it's not that easy to get a line that, well, it can turn. I just turned it there. That rubbed out really well. And so if I actually had a branch going that way, take a bit more out underneath that other flower, and then I can draw onto that and get another leaf back in underneath here and behind that. The whole page would be sort of covered with leaves, but at the moment the background will be starting to recede more. And so up through the design line, I had the burnt sienna and indethrin blue, and I'll come back in here, and if I leave that there, you'll see exactly what I'm doing. It'll come up to there and down to here, but I don't do it the whole area. Leave some of the center part. Just find the edges that you want, get the colour in, and stop. Now that's re-wetting what's underneath as well, so I'll have to be careful, because it'll all go to sort of grey and mushy if you keep going. That's enough to see it. That's all I've got to do, see it. I don't need to make it too strong. And so that goes on to the other side. I'll zoom back out because we're going into a larger area. Okay, so I turned that so that I can come into here and find the other side. Now the reason I turn is the point of my brush is the straight edge. So if I want to get underneath there, I've got to have the brush at that angle. Paint part of it, not much of it. It comes over to the other leaf, and I'll turn it back round. I'll do it a bit slowly because it makes your eyes go crazy on the camera. Okay, coming into here, this leaf here. Now, I either come into the white edge or I'll leave a white edge in that, just to there, stop, and then go up to the other leaf and find the other edge to the leaf. Now, that's a really nice edge, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come to the stem and just find the stem. Nothing else. I like the edge to the leaf there because it's really quite pretty, and they join up by themselves really. It's a bit obvious, so I'll just take some of it out. Okay, so then it comes to the other side of it. I'll have to turn it. Okay, burnt sienna, indethrin, back in up here, but I only want a very small part of it. I don't want it to go right down to the other side. So that'll just stop there, go in behind the leaf. And so that will have to look like that goes across, and that stem will just sort of sit there. But have a look at what I've got created there. I've got something that I can use in the actual leaf, I think. I'll just have a look at it here. It's got a few little speckles, little hundreds and thousands speckles there. But I can come back underneath the leaf, and I've just got burnt sienna, just the dirty colour. And I can come back in underneath here and find that edge and get that to come around the back of that. Wash the brush and dry it, come back here and just take that back edge out. And I've started to get a turnover in that leaf. Now the rest of it would be It's a little bit strong there. I'll make it go back in. So I just made it go back a little bit and then back round here to the other side. Now whatever the brush mark leaves there, it's on leaves, it won't hurt. So that'll, oh, I didn't want to start there, but I have. That's where the brush hit the paper. That'll go round all those pretty colours and then I'll turn it back. So now it's got it round the leaf is starting to make edges. Get that back edge of the paint out. Don't want to leave a trail of colour, even though I've left that there. That's interesting. This leaf, eventually I'll have to do something with that. It could be curled. I could curl it all the way down. I'll get back to what I'm doing and come back to these curls because there's one on here as well. So I'll turn it back around. Okay, now this is nowhere near as dark as it needs to be. So I'll just drop some darker paint into that while it's wet. That one's wet there. That one there. Oops. That one in there. I'm just darkening now, so that'll be darker. Just drop it into that because it's still wet. And then I'm moving up to the next leaf. I don't want to touch that. And so the same as the leaf here with the turn, I'll actually paint that back darker later. So I'm going up to this leaf now. This area here ended up that was the actual leaf and that was the mark that it left on it. So I either use that and take some out of it and leave it on the leaf, or I make the leaf that shape. I think the size of this one, it makes it look like that's the other side of it would be up into that size. So I'm just going to make the dark brown and find out where to go with this. It'll come over to here somewhere later and up through here into the branches. It'll come into the branches there and make that dark. Just drop the brush down, I'll do it for you. It'll jump up to here. So I'll turn it sideways for that. The reason I've turned sideways is the point of the brush, and this leaf here can come down over here, over those branches later by adding the rest of this colour to it. So I'll come up to where I've got pretty colours there. I'll come up into there, find the edge to that, find a new edge to the leaf in through here. So the leaf will come over to where my finger is. That's where the leaf will be. I'll drop the brush down and that will actually stop it from having back edges in the paint, and that'll stop about there. Then I'll see what I've done. Take that out softly. Okay, so now I've got a new edge to that leaf at the top. And so that can come out and that'll be dark later in a colour. I'm not sure what colour yet. And so coming up into here, we've got this leaf here. Now on this side, I've been being lighter. So I'm going to use raw sienna and a little bit of burnt sienna on this side to come in behind here and show the edges to that. Just get a new edge. Let it drop down and show the edge to that leaf up there. It'll be nice and dark up in there. On dry paper, it's darker. On wet paper, it comes out lighter. Okay, so I've worked my way around there. That's a bit milky, but that's because there's white underneath that. So the answer to get that darker is to let it dry and then come back, not to try and do it while it's wet. I won't do the edges there, so I'll start coming back over to the edges here. And that was in Deathrin. And if it's too blue, then I'll change that as well, but I'll see what it's like. Put it in. I missed an edge there. I could have found a nice edge to the leaf. I'm coming over past the speckles so that it puts it behind. I'll come in and take that out. Okay, then I can tilt it back in. Dry the brush. Still got water on it, and take it back. And it'll follow. Where I've wet, it'll follow. And so that will go into there. Now, if that's too strong, I'll let it dry and have a look at it. It could come down the leaf a little bit further. Too tight, it actually looks too strong anyway if it's just too tight, meaning that it's got no paint coming back out of that intersection. This is another one in here. Lay the brush down. Don't need to see exactly where that goes to. I better stop. Stops, just touch. That's a blue speck that went on it. Won't hurt because it's just going into the leaf. So now I have blue coming around the edges and out from the edge of it there. Needs something in here, but not a lot. Just a little bit. So the brush is still very wet. So I'll just bring it into probably there. So I can take out or leave on the leaf anything I want at this stage. Don't want to come out too far on that, so I'll push it back. It's a wash brush. Touch it, let it go back into there. And so now I've got the blue coming around the edges there. Now that can continue out into different bits and pieces, and I'll just show you how. That if I come down from there, it doesn't have to be a big leaf, but it can be a smaller leaf. So what I'll do is come back up, and I won't try and draw just to make it fit. I'll draw as if the whole thing's there. So it would come out round there up to the edge of the tape, come back into the actual edge of it. There'd be another part to it coming down here before it would come back up into the point of the leaf. So I've drawn it onto the actual tape so that I know that that's the leaf that sort of fits in there. Don't need the whole rest of the leaf. I only need to show some of it. So now that'll be in just a blue. So that'll come out through here. That'll be the stem. Better not leave that too strong. Just wet that for the time being. And it won't be that dark, but it'll be blue. Oh, I hope it won't be that dark. Put it on. The leaf's coming out. It's going around. Now this is just water running around. That goes out of the picture again. Comes down, comes back in. And this is a leaf in the actual shaded area. Could leave a centre of the pink on that. And leave little spots of pink. Comes out round the other side here, in behind that leaf. So it's gone behind that edge. Comes down here and makes a new edge in that leaf. And around and back out. Now it's dried. That's how quick it dries. It's dried, and I'll just bring it down to the point. Okay, so there's a new leaf that's actually appeared. So you've got leaves that are positive and leaves that are negative. And so it's all going to balance out. So you'll have different bits and pieces on it. While that's still damp, I'll put the veins on. Just put the veins on here. It's quite wet, so I don't know whether they'll run. So the wetter this brush is, the more they run. The drier this brush is, with the amount of paint on it, the less it'll run. So I'll just put it on the tissue and see what happens. That's not too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some of the veins, not all, just a few. That's enough. I could actually, while it's damp, just run down this edge. Just give it something interesting down the edge of the actual leaf so that it's got something that you can really see it clearly. Even over the top here, that's dried, so I'll just put the line over there so that you can see that stronger. Okay, so moving on back up to the top here, I've got to then come in behind here and then up to the top, and that'll take me around. It's more like an S now instead of a C. Originally it was a C, but it still has the basics of what it needs to be a proper artwork. This will come out. Now that's going that way, so this will have to go that way, in behind that, and back out the other side. Leave it there. Strange, when I turn it upside, that's a lovely shape to a leaf that way, but I'm going to have to lose it. Yeah, I will have to lose it just to make that leaf stand out. I'll change colour actually, because that's the grey there and that just looks like the same colour. So I'm just going to put more burnt sienna into it here. Take out a bit of the pattern. So now it's just got that. Now if I get that too strong, I can always come back with the brush later and take a section out of it, or just rub back and just take a highlight out of it. Coming around to, I'll get this done first before I actually go over the top, because I can always take the paint out. So I was getting the brown down behind this one. I'll see if I can keep it up the right way. And so that comes in behind here, just to get that to stand out. It's got a little bit of, I'll leave that, don't touch it. It's better off a lot of it to leave. And that comes in behind here and starts to get more going in here. Now I'm picking up fresher paint, actually quite a bit of paint, so that it doesn't go too milky. And it's already milky there, so that goes in behind here. I can actually leave that as a shape and then get a branch coming out from it in actually painting, and then back up into here. Now that's where I'm going to put that leaf when it dries later, and that matches this colour as well. So again, painting in behind. I've left a little bit of light at the top of that one, so it's different. Everything needs to be different. Just take that off, it was too strong. And then eventually I'll get this leaf to go over the top in the darks. Okay, so looking at the colour through, I've got a little bit of burnt sienna showing up, a little bit stronger in places. So I'm just going to go to burnt sienna and match that so that it's the same going through the artwork. The point on that, oh, I know where that is. Yeah, okay. I've seen that as far as I've turned it back. I've turned that back up here. I'll draw it and show you, and I'll do it darker. This is a darker graphite pencil that'll show you exactly what's there. I've turned that up. Now, generally when you turn something up, it's not always, but it can have a straight edge on the bottom of it. So what I've done is just taken that edge there, made it stronger. That'll come up around the edge. I've got a bit of a branch there as well. Drop that down and just get a little bit more of the burnt sienna in through there. Now I'll have to take out the back edges to make it fit into the artwork, because when you see it, you just see a straight line, and then you've got the back edge of the paint. That needs to soften into the rest of the artwork. And come over the other side. If there's a stem there or something, it needs to come over here. So now it's got the brown in through there, a little bit more brown in here. I don't want to take out all the pattern, but I need to lose some of it. Okay, so now I'll turn it around and see what I've actually created. Don't like that, simply by the shape of it. It just doesn't look right. But I'll keep working first before I do anything about it. Some of them are where they turn round and not that far out into the actual leaf. So I'm just going to go up here and see what I can do with that. Maybe take some of this off, maybe change that. That edge doesn't look right. So I'm just going to put a bit of a point on it, change that round and make it come round that way. That might alleviate the look of that just being very noticeable, and I'll keep an eye on that. So now I've got the turn back to this leaf here and the turn back to this one. This is dry over here, so that's where I'll work. And remember the blue and raw sienna. So raw sienna, which can be a little bit opaque, but it'll be enough just to tame this red down and get that to go round that side. And that'll get the colour coming out through there as well. Okay, so up round here, I've got this this leaf here that looks like it could be turned over. And so now I've turned it, I'll get some of the colour of the leaves have got blue and they've got the raw sienna on them. So I'll use mainly a blue, I think, as a shadow colour. That's what I've actually used, and I've got it mixed as a dirty colour now. And that has to sort of come down around here. Now to turn that over, I need to come in behind. I can't explain what that bit is, but I'm going to leave that. I'm going to come in behind it and get colour in behind there. And that's going to actually start the turn. Take off the back edge of the paint. Take that edge off. That'll go into the actual cut in through there. That then will come over, and then I need it stronger over here to make that turn. At the moment it's not turned. Need it probably stronger over. No, I've still got the two colours because I think I need the two colours so that it's a nice rich colour. Get right up to those edges. It's those edges that make it turn because they've got to be in behind here. And then I'll come back down to here. So I've got indethrine, a little bit of the other colours in it. And I'm going to take this section off it. It could have rolled up again, but I'm not going to do that because that's going to be making it too hard to see. So this now becomes the turnover from that part of the leaf up round here and up into that light area. That's the turnover. Take the back edge of the paint out so that goes in behind. Now it looks like there's a hole through the leaf that you can see through it into the other area here. And there's another thing that happens with the turnover. It has a shading going around the turnover to complete it. And so that's back into the indethrine with a little bit of raw sienna. And I'll pick up more indethrine because I need a strong edge in it to do that. And so I'll do this section first. So that'll come from there down through here and give us a straight edge. Wash and dry the brush quickly because you don't want that to basically set up too much, and that will roll that into that turnover. And then the turnover will be on the other side there. That'll be here, starting from where that is, it'll be from there. It'll have to go to the raw sienna colour there. And that will put it down there so that it actually rolls that up. Now, if that's not dark enough, I can come back to that, but it's no use playing on it while it's still wet. And I've got the other one here. Same deal. Raw sienna and indethrine will give me a dirty greeny grey, and that'll come down into here. So I put the brush down where it's the deepest, which is there. That's the deepest part of that roll. And I put the brush there because that's where it's supposed to be where the most paint is on. Don't know what that is. Something. Move over. I picked it up actually. It's picked up from somewhere on the palette. Okay, so that goes into there where the brush has got the full load of paint on, comes around here, the point of it picks that up and comes back again and leaves the depth where I want it. Take the back edge of the paint out. This is the darker side, and it looks like it starts down there where it comes down, goes in behind there, does something like that, and then into there, back down. That would look like that's partly rolled. If I leave that light as well, that would look like it's rolled the other way. If it went out to there, to the corner, it'd look like it started to roll up. I'll leave these do their own thing. It should be dry enough now to come back over here. So the decision is, what colour do I do the end of that leaf? There's quite a bit of blue going on over that side in the darker side. So I'll try and pick it up in the... It's got the magenta, but I'm not using magenta. I'm only using the blue and the raw sienna and indethrin at the moment. So I'll try and stick with the colours that I've got. And that means it'll be more... Can't be more brown because there's too much brown on the artwork going on. So if I don't get a colour that's stronger, it won't show up. And so where would that go? Generally I do draw. It probably would go out to about there. So that just gives me the point of the leaf that comes out and covers over that branch. Well, I don't really want to get rid of that intersection, but I'm going to. That'll join it up with that. Needs to cover that. You mightn't cover it in the first instance, but it will later. And just leave something else interesting on it, and then that'll come up and disappear into these colours. Probably could let it just come up there a little bit as well. Just wet it and see what it does. So now the leaf has a darker edge over, but it'll have to be done again when it's dry. Okay, so looking at the artwork of what I've balanced, I've got 1, 2, 3 extra leaves. I've got some interesting parts to that going up there. You can't see what's what, but I don't think I need to make that any clearer. You can leave some bits so that people have got to work out something for themselves. Got the extra 3 leaves. I've got 2 leaves that I've come in behind. I probably will do another leaf that I come in behind, and then basically then I'll have 2 that match and 1 that doesn't. So, and then I don't count everything. A lot of people count a lot of everything that's done. I've still got the branches to do. I can paint a little bit more on the leaves, but the more you paint on them, the more they disappear into the background. Okay, so what I might do is get a leaf coming out sideways. It has to go with the design, and so it might be better to kick out up the top here and make it stronger at the top than at the bottom of the artwork. So I'll just get a pencil, turn it round, and that's the swing of my wrist. So if I get something that's coming out there, it would go around there. It doesn't have to be a huge leaf. So that'll join onto the branch there. It'll come out round there and out round there and out. Could go behind that one. Find another leaf there and come out to the section there. That's one. Could have another one I don't think I need another one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5. I guess I could probably make that one smaller. Make this one a little bit smaller. And then make this one bigger so it matches over to that one. That makes that leaf come down that way. And remember what I said about drawing out onto the actual board. Now this one has to be behind it to actually show it up. And so again, and I'll leave it there at that stage. A lot of it I've been doing in blues. So I'm going to do this one in blue. That's come off the board. This one will come off. I'll take it off there because that looks bad when you can see it on the board. Okay, back in behind it, the branch. Where did I do the branch? The branch come off here somewhere. Okay, so I'll find the branch first. That'll be a good idea. Comes around here and goes around and connects to that branch. Touch it, make it join on. Oops, just fell. If I've gone too wide, which I possibly could have then I can come around behind it later. Back into blue. The blue will come in this side. That'll just waft over there lightly. Takes a bit of the brown out too, which is quite nice. Into what I call an intersection is when I'm close to something that I want to highlight. That's an intersection, and then it doesn't need to go much further. I'll leave that line, don't mind that. So don't try and straighten everything out that you paint. And the next place I need to see it's down here, behind that leaf. So now you can see it. That's all you've got to do. Just bring a line up there, just anything. That's the line that I left, so I'll come back and leave another line in that. Has to come down to the leaf though, there. Okay, so I left a couple of lines in that, radiating out from the artwork. Lots of things can be interesting. I've got to turn upside down now so that it's coming towards me. And start to actually get the blue in behind here. That's where I want the darkest blue. You can come into that one, although you can see it. I think I touched it. Oh, no, I didn't touch that one. And the blue can just vanish behind here. Make it go the direction I want it to go. That could be a branch out behind there. So I'll go to there. I'll come in behind it and leave a branch going that way then. So that there's things going on in behind there as well that I've left just a little area through there. That ended up partly on that leaf, but anyway, I'll leave it. And then into here, and that's where I said I wanted it to be really light. So out round here, I'm just going to add water. And let it go out really softly. Okay, turn it back around, see what's happened. Now I've got a new leaf. That leaf I could actually rub out and not do any veins in it whatsoever, but my work now is heavier at the top. Some of these darks down here are a little bit what I call tight, meaning that they're just sort of showing up like here where you've got ones that are really, really strong, but I'll counteract that by bringing a group of stems through there and keep them really, really dark through so that there'll be another branch work coming through. So now I'm going to work with that This paint here in the palette is way too wet, so I'll just put a tissue in it and take some water out. Wet paint means less paint. You won't see it. And so if I'm going to paint up the branches through there, I can either wet them first or wet them after. But if I wet a branch down through here, just wet it, and then just touch the branch on the dark side. That's just on the dark side of the branch. It'll start to run over the edges where I put that water, hopefully. Not doing it a lot. That bit did. That will. So that now you've got just a little bit. It didn't happen as well as I wanted it to, so I'll come back to that. Now I'll wet that right away across because I want that to disappear each side, so you only see part of the branch turning up. This one's a little bit too strong. I'll just let it run down. And then let it go behind here. So then I'll put the dark on the branch down there, so it'll disappear down underneath that leaf. So I'm shading it as it's going down. And I know that's a really straight leaf. I wasn't really that happy about it, but you'll always find something on your work that you're not ecstatic about. That's actually got paint on it, so I'll take that off. Just that bit there has lost that part of it. And it should go right onto that branch. Now it is. And so back with the rigger. Just put some dark in the middle of that, so that it's got some strength. Come down here on these. I'll leave that one and make it go behind by putting some colour down that side of the one that's in front, and that'll make that one disappear and continue down that side of the branch. And so I'll go from side to side of the branches and actually get paint going through there. Just cover myself. Okay, moving on. This one might be a better one to sort of see. It's a bit wider. I can make them wider, but I don't want them to be the main focus of everything here. So I've just wet that one. Now, when I put the paint down that side of it, it'll go across there. It should run out on there and show it clearer. That's just around through there. That's made that wider. And it's trying to run over, but it's not doing it so well. That's better. And so now it's got part of that stem showing. It's a little bit wide there, don't like that. So I'll dry the brush and just put that into the artwork, because then I can come back and fix that. Okay, so that's darker down through there. All these stems will need a little bit of painting, and so now I'll pick up the brush and just make that one disappear behind that. That's now shaded away. That needs to be there. This one needs to be shaded. It's still going to be there, but it's much lighter. And so bits and pieces. This one needs to just disappear slightly. You still see them, but they don't need to be glaring. The ones at the top, these were bigger ones. Wet that. Wet that. See if I can get that to run round. Not doing it as much as I want it to, just on that side. That'll go out into there. That'll disappear. That's better. And some of these others will be just painted. That one, if I want it wider, I'll wet the trunk, but go out further. Go out further on this side, and I can get that to be a wider branch. Okay. This one here's too white. Just put some bits and pieces on it. Okay, so now I'm going to come through, and some of the branches are still too white, but I can always get back. And start to get some branches through there now. So I'll start to just pick up some darks and start to come off different places and add different things. I don't want another leaf there because otherwise I've got too much painted. 2/3 painted, 1/3 vacant. Well, I'd be lucky to actually work out a third not vacant, but anyway. Okay, so to get that to go onto that branch, I'll wet the branch first. Just wet the branch, and now it can run and do whatever it likes. It can come over, go behind there, come out down here, and I can get a branch with bits and pieces on it to come down through there. Do I want it to be? Probably. I'll make it go over here and out of the picture. That's better. So every time I come behind something, I lift something off the page. And so again, through there, I can still come back here, get a little bit darker down the side of that. And then out this side, wet it. Wet it about there. Put the paint on, and I'll start to get a branch coming out through there. I don't want it to join up with that one. That one better come out the other way. But while I've got it this direction, I should come out the way that I am, so that I don't have to keep turning it on you. Branches. This needs help, but I don't need it to go out there. So maybe I just need that to disappear. So to make that disappear, if I wet it a lot, I'll end up with a mess. So what I'm going to do is wet it at random. Just bits and pieces. And so that'll sort of soften into the artwork. So I could get something a little bit stronger on here that comes out through that area there. I'll wet it there. Yeah, things can come backwards. They don't have to come forward. So this is going to go up through there. Join on. It's well and truly joined on now. It was heading that way. Okay. And so that actually did too much on that branch and took the whole branch out. That's better. It has to join onto this leaf, and that's not happening. So I'll put a lot more water on my brush now. And so the leaf is back here somewhere, and I think, whoops, that's going to drip. That was supposed to be the main part of it, so I'm just going to join it up there, as if it joins up. I haven't joined it. I can get bits and pieces coming off that. Now, if I do a lot of them, the whole thing's going to fall to bits because it's going to have too much going on. Could have another branch coming down through here. That really didn't do it because it joined up with everything else. Just touch it, just take it out of the artwork. Probably could see another branch opposing this one, because this one's, I don't like to see branches going all the way down the artwork. So what I'm going to do is oppose it by coming back here, coming back out there, and then starting to get a branch through here. The paint just turned to mush there. And then get it to go off softly, so it's got some branches through there. Don't like how straight that is though. Okay, it is straight, but I'm going to branch it off. Just so it looks like something else happened on the way. Now, some of these leaves could be painted up. I could paint them again, but only in part of them. I could paint into the centre vein on some of them and put some more darks into the centre of them. So if I did that, I'll do it in their dead leaves. So I'll do it in just the burnt sienna, I think. Although we're very burnt sienna, aren't we? Okay, I'll do this one and see how it looks. Burnt sienna in here. That'll leave that vein standing out. Just dropping the brush down and lifting it and leaving the veins that are there. So it runs out to wherever it wants to and sort of starts to sort of show the depth in the leaf. Wash the brush, dry it, just pull that out. If there's some runs, that makes it interesting. And it was that one that I was intending to actually play with. So that can be done on the leaves. And then this one here was around that turn where I didn't do anything on it, except left it so that I could do this and put the burnt sienna on with a little bit of the blue just to grey it down. And now that can come in around here. Give a really strong edge around that. Wash the brush, dry it off. Get the back edge off. I'll leave that. Whatever happened there, I'll leave it. It looks like a mark on the leaf. Take this edge out. And the dark should be in there. So I'll join it up with that mark. And so what that's got is a dark edge next to a light, which does something for the leaf as well. Okay, so that will go into those. And I won't do every one. Every now and again I'll do one on the darker side. Maybe there. Just on the darker side of that one. This is a big one. Got that. If I do that next to that, I lose it. So what I'm going to do is just miss it. So now it's got a light next to the dark. Just do one on that. This one's too noticeable now. Just let it run back. Take out some of the edges. Let it do its own thing. We're not just getting it all perfect. Probably this one, the rollover. I didn't do the rollover on this one. And so that's a turnover. So people try and turn things over that don't have a straight edge. And generally there's a straight edge on a rollover. That's very, very pretty there. And so I'll put the blue on the back of that one, do the rollover on this one, and you can see it quite clearly there, but you can't see it here. So what I'm going to do is come up underneath there and start the rollover back here. So then you can see that edge there. Push that back up. So now you can see the rollover on that and leave some of the brush marks. Don't try and window dress the whole thing. Okay, back up here. That needs the blue on it. I think I like the blue on that, and so I'll put the blue on this one. And so that goes across the back edge there and then disappears. So now you've just got that rollover that shows that roll going up. You could actually get the centre vein coming up there as well. Just in it, so it's got just that blue coming up. I don't think there's much else I can do to it other than just some of the centre parts. The leaves are okay. All right, I'll just take the tape off. Okay, I've taken the tape off. I never ever show work without the tape on it. It needs it off so that you can see the artwork, and that's why I work on the black boards, because I can see exactly how much edge I've got on my artwork. All right, I hope you really enjoyed that. I enjoyed painting it, and the next artwork will be done with the stamping that I achieved earlier when I was working on this one. Okay, thanks very much for listening.